Hey there, my lovely ladies. First of all, let me start with this. I'm proud of you, not just for being here and listening, but for wanting to understand love better. That takes courage. That takes heart. And I know that if you're listening to this, you're the kind of woman who wants connection, not confusion. You don't just want a man to desire you. You want him to value you, respect you, stay for the long haul, not just the night. And when it comes to intimacy, especially that first time, it's not just about the chemistry, the kisses on there, or the skin on it, about what's unsaid, what's felt, and yes, what's judged. Now let's be honest here. No matter how evolved we think we are, and men and women are both evaluating things during those first intimate moments, not in a cold, calculating way, but in an instinctive, psychological, and emotional way. And if you know how a man subconsciously interprets certain behaviors in those moments, you gain the power to show up with confidence, not confusion. So let's pull back the curtain. Let's step inside his mind. Let's decode what he's actually looking for beneath the surface. Because once you can shift the dynamic completely, you can become the woman who doesn't just impress him physically, but leaves a mark on his soul. So let's dive in. Let's start with the first thing a man judges you on. Whether he realizes it or not, he judges whether you're doing it for you or for him. Ladies, lean in. This is one of the most powerful dynamics in intimacy. Because whether he realizes it or not, a man can feel whether a woman is being intimate from a place of empowered choice or silent pressure. If he senses that you're going along with it just to keep him interested, or because you're afraid he'll lose interest if you don't, he may enjoy the moment, but something inside him switches off afterward, and he may not even understand why, but suddenly he's distant, cold, pulling away. Why? Because he felt like you gave him your body, but not your soul, not your self-respect. And whether he's a good guy or a guy with less, the noble intentions, it affects how he sees you. Now, I know that's a tough truth, but it's also empowering, because when you flip the script, when you make it your choice on your timeline with your standards, something magnetic happens. A man feels like you value yourself, and he starts to value you more. He sees you as a woman who doesn't need to prove anything, who knows her worth. And that, ironically, makes him want to prove himself to you. So how do you show this? Simple. Don't be afraid to slow things down. Don't rush. Don't perform. Be present. Be playful. And most importantly, check in with yourself. Am I doing this because I want to, or because I think he expects it? That one question alone can shift the entire dynamic. When a man sees that you're doing it for you, not for his validation and not out of fear, but from your own authentic place, he feels safe. He feels respect. He feels something deeper than desire. He starts to think, with his woman is different. And trust me, he remembers that, because that's rare, that's powerful, that's unforgettable. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine you're with a man. Things are getting passionate. The room is warm. The air is electric. His hands are exploring. Your breath is quickening. Your heart is racing. And you pause. You gently put your hand on his and say, can we slow down a second? I just want to be really in the moment with you. You don't reject him. You don't scold him. You just connect. Emotionally, you take the wheel of your own experience. And in that pause, in that breath, something divine happens. You become the chooser. You become the woman in control of her sensuality there, and he senses it, whether he consciously registers it or not. A man feels it in his gut when you make love to him or withhold from him. From a place of power, not pressure, from a place of knowing who you are, not what you fear. And in that moment, you become more than sexy, you become rare. Do you know what men are secretly terrified of? They're being used for sex just as much as women are afraid of being discarded for it. Yes, you heard that right, because the truth is a man wants to feel chosen, desired, seen, not just physically, realize that emotionally. And when you engage with him sexually, because you feel it, because you are present, because you are sure, not because you're afraid he'll lose interest if you don't, he feels a rare kind of intimacy, one that goes beyond physical. One that says, I'm not giving this to you because you want it. They realize that I'm sharing it with you because I feel it too. That's the difference between sex that's forgettable and sex that changes something in him. And here's another truth that most people won't tell you, even good men. Decent, loving, well-meaning men will lose respect for a woman who abandons herself, not because they want to. They realize that but because it's hard to admire someone who doesn't honor their own needs. So if you're doing something just to please him, he may even know what shifted, but the way he sees you will change. He may start pulling away, or he may keep coming back, but only for the physical, not the emotional bond. And then you're left wondering, why does it feel empty now? Why does he seem different? But it wasn't the sex, it was the energy behind it. So let's flip that. Let's reframe intimacy into something sacred, something deliberate, something that builds connection, not just chemistry. The first time you're intimate with a man, ask yourself and realize that is this my truth right now, or is this my fear talking? Because if it's your fear of losing him, fear of rejection, fear of being seen as cold or uptight, you're handing him your power wrapped in insecurity. But when it's your truth, when you say yes from a full body yes, not a hesitant maybe, you radiate a different frequency. A man feels it, and even if the relationship doesn't last, he'll walk away with respect. He'll remember you as the woman who didn't need to be wanted to feel worthy, the woman who knew that her value didn't start or end with her body. They realize that and if he is the right guy, if he's the kind of man you actually want to build something with, he'll fall harder, he'll lean in. He'll chase more because there is nothing more attractive than a woman who is unapologetically in tune with herself. That's the woman who doesn't get ghosted after the first night. Realize that's the woman who doesn't have to chase for a validation. That's the woman who becomes unforgettable there. Now let's move to the second way a man is quietly judging you during that first intimate moment. He's judging how comfortable you are in your own skin. And I don't just mean physically, I mean emotionally, spiritually, energetically, because nothing is more magnetic to a man than a woman who is at peace with herself in that vulnerable space. You see, most women have to impress a man in the bedroom. They feel this unspoken pressure to look perfect, to perform like a movie fantasy. But here's the truth most women miss. A man doesn't fall in love with perfection. He falls in love with presence. He's not judging the shape of your thighs or the curve of your stomach nearly as much as he's observing whether you own it, whether you're with him or in your head, whether you're ashamed of your body or celebrating it. And trust me when I say the woman who is confident and connected to herself leaves an imprint far deeper than the woman who's technically hot, but emotionally shut off. Let me say this another way. In that first intimate moment, a man isn't thinking like a photographer, zooming on all your perceived flaws. He's tuning into your energy, your freedom, your authenticity. Are you self-conscious? Are you tense? Are you trying to hide yourself under the sheets or under performance? Or are you open, expressive, soft? Are you allowing pleasure without guilt, joy without defense? Because when you are free in your body, when you move with ease, when you laugh, when you breathe deeply, when you show up with unfiltered, unrehearsed feminine energy, it mesmerizes him. It makes him feel like he's not just with a woman, he's with a force, a woman who is unapologetically herself. Realize and that energy, that's what stays in his mind long after the night ends. Here's something you've probably never been told. Their confidence in intimacy doesn't come from having the perfect body. It comes from trusting yourself in your body. It's the way you touch him, not just with your hands, but with your intention. They realize it's how you receive, not just give it. It's how you express what you want without fear of being judged. That's the kind of woman who doesn't just sleep with a man. She connects with him. She awakens something inside him. And when a man experiences that kind of woman, he doesn't just crave her physically, he yearns for her emotionally, because she made him feel something rare, something real. And that's how she becomes unforgettable. Realize Now, let me tell you this, even if you're insecure about something on your body, and let's be honest, every single one of us is, your power lies in not letting that insecurity drive your behavior. Own your body, own your rhythm, own your voice. When you're intimate, don't shrink yourself, and don't apologize for your pleasure. Don't hold your breath or cover yourself in shame. Instead, ground yourself in the truth that you're already enough, already worthy, already desirable, not because of what you look like, but because of the energy you carry. That's what a man picks up on. That's what speaks louder than your lingerie or your lighting. It's the you behind the appearance that he's really tuning into. So if you want to be magnetic during that first intimate experience, here's the shift. Stop trying to be sexy and start being present. Of asking him ask, am I here right now? Instead of wondering if he likes what you're doing, ask yourself, am I enjoying this? That switch in focus from performance to presence changes everything. It makes you feel more connected, and it makes him feel something deeper than just arousal. It makes him feel like he's with a real woman, not a role, not a version of you trying to earn his approval. And that's where intimacy becomes unforgettable. Let's go even deeper with this. When a man sees that you're comfortable in your skin, he starts to feel more relaxed in his. You create an emotional permission slip. You invite him to drop the act, to stop trying to impress you, to be real. And when that happens, something magical occurs. You're no longer two bodies connecting. You're two humans meeting in the most vulnerable, beautiful, and powerful space of all, authenticity. You've created something few people ever experienced, a moment where both people safe being exactly who they are. And that's rare, that's sacred. That's what makes a man not just want your body again, but crave your soul. And let me speak to the fear that might be whispering in the back of your mind. Maybe you're thinking there, but what if I show up like this and he still disappears? What if you're open and real and he still chooses not to stay? Let me say this with loving, that's not rejection. That's redirection. That's the universe removing someone who couldn't meet you at the level you now live at. That's a filter, not a failure. And every time you show up in truth, even if someone walks away, you get stronger, clearer. You get closer to the kind of man who's not just turned on by your body, but aligned with your energy. Realize that they're the kind of man who sees you and says, where have you been all my life? The man you're making space for. That's the man you're inviting with every act of self-ownership there. So the next time you find yourself in that moment of intimacy, don't worry about being perfect. Worry about being present. Don't worry about impressing him. Focus on expressing yourself. Let your breath be steady. Let your touch be honest. Let your movements come from within, not from fear or comparison or fantasy. That's when you stop being a good time and start becoming an unforgettable experience. And here's the final word on this point. The way you feel about yourself in that moment becomes the lens through which he sees you. If you carry shame, he picks up on it. Even if he doesn't say it, if you carry confidence, there he sucks it in like sunlight. So be your own light. Don't doubt it, and don't trade it for approval, because the man who's right for you, he won't just love your body. He'll love the way you love yourself. Now let's move to the third way a man judges you during that first intimate moment. He's judging how emotionally safe he feels with you. And this one is huge, even though most women never think of it. You see, intimacy is to be freeing. But for a man, it can also be terrifying, not because of the act itself, but because of the emotional implications. Because whether he says it or not, that first sexual experience creates a shift. It opens up the potential for attachment, for expectation, for vulnerability. And even the most confident men, especially those who've been hurt, feel a kind of emotional nakedness in that moment. So whether or not you intend to, the way you treat him right after can either make him feel safe or trapped, accepted, or evaluated, or cornered. Let's talk about the space after intimacy. The afterglow, that moment where you're lying together, heartbeats slowing down, the world quieter than before. This is the moment when a man becomes hyper-aware of your energy. Are you clinging? Are you cold? Are you anxious? Are you already expecting something from him? Or are you still just present, relaxed, connected to yourself and the moment? Because here's the true thing. A man judges whether being close to you means losing himself, whether being intimate means gaining pressure or gaining peace, whether the connection now comes with strings or with space. Let me give you a real example. Let's say you just shared a beautiful, sensual, vulnerable experience with him. Now it's quiet. You're both catching your breath. And instead of immediately asking where the relationship is going, instead of scanning for reassurance, instead of trying to make him define what just happened, you just breathe. You hold space there. You rest your head on his chest or hold his hand, not because you need something, but because you want to be there. That calm, grounded energy says everything. It says, I'm here, there, but I'm whole either way. It says, I enjoyed you, not just what we did. It tells him he doesn't have to fix anything, prove anything, promise anything. You just want presence there. And when a man feels that, you become rare, because most men are so used to either being punished or pressured after sex. They're used to feeling like the moment was a transaction. Realize that now that you've shared something intimate, they owe you certainty. And don't get me wrong, it's absolutely fair for you to want clarity. But when that clarity is demanded from a place of insecurity, it actually pushes him away. It makes him feel like he can't breathe next to you. He can't just enjoy being close without being expected to commit on the spot. But when he feels that you're not trying to trap him, but rather create realize that they bond, trusting bond, that's when he starts seeing you differently. That's when he starts choosing you, not out of obligation, but desire. So if you want to stand out to a man during and after that first intimate moment, show him that your need for closeness isn't coming from emptiness. Let your energy say, there, I am already full, and that this moment, this beautiful experience is an addition to your life, not a replacement for your self-worth. When you do that, there you shift from being another woman hoping he'll validate her to a woman he feels safe to go deeper with. That's what emotional safety is. Not being perfect, not pretending to be chill while secretly panicking, but actually knowing your worth even when you're naked, even when you're unsure what tomorrow holds, even when you don't have all the answers. And men, good men, fall hard for that. Let's pause here for a moment, because I know what some of you might be thinking. But Matthew, I do want a relationship. I do want clarity. Am I just supposed to pretend like I don't care after we've been intimate? And the answer is no. You're not pretending you don't care. You're just not attaching your worth to how quickly he commits. You're giving the moment its space, allowing the intimacy to breathe without suffocating it with expectation. You're allowing connection to unfold rather than demanding guarantees. And ironically, when you do this, when you're calm, grounded, whole, a man feels so much safer opening up to you. They're not because you pushed, but because you didn't. Not because you needed him to choose you, but because you showed him who you really are and gave him the freedom to choose. This is where the emotionally intelligent woman separates herself from everyone else. She doesn't rush the labels. She doesn't interrogate his every move. She doesn't panic when there's a pause. She lets things unfold organically, but with eyes open. She's aware, she observes, but she doesn't control. And that balance, that mix of trust and strength is what makes a man lower his defenses. He stops seeing you, has to manage emotionally against something. He starts seeing one he can build with emotionally. And that is what turns sex into connection into intimacy, and intimacy into something that can actually grow into love. Now listen to this. When a man sees that you're emotionally steady, even in your most vulnerable state, he begins to trust you. And trust is what every man craves. Even if he doesn't say it, he wants a soft place to land, a place where he doesn't have to wear armor there. And when he sees that your love doesn't with panic, pressure, or punishment, he lets his guard down. He becomes more generous, more open, more available there. And that's when you start to see the real man emerge, not the version trying to impress you, but the version who wants to earn you. So after that first intimate moment, realize that don't afraid of the silence. Don't be afraid of space. Don't be afraid to let the energy settle. That's where your power is. In how gracefully you hold the moment, in how calmly you allow it to unfold. Because when you can stay rooted in your value, even after sharing your most vulnerable self, you become unforgettable. Not because of what you did, but because how you made him feel. And trust me, men remember the women who made them feel safe enough to be real. You want to be the woman who doesn't touch his body, but reaches into his soul. The one who doesn't need to control the outcome because she's too busy being in alignment with herself. That woman doesn't chase commitment, she attracts it. That woman doesn't ask, will he stay? She knows that the right man will stay because she's worth staying for. And that woman, that's you. When you trust your light, when you stop shrinking, when you show up not with fear, but with presence. That's when everything changes there. Now let's talk about the fourth way a man judges you in that first intimate moment. He's judging whether connection is physical or emotional there. And here's the thing, most women don't realize physical attraction may get a man into bed, but it's emotional connection that makes him stay in your life. That first sexual experience, but kind of test in his mind, not just of compatibility, but of depth. And whether you know it or not, realize that he's picking up on whether this moment is purely about gratification or if there's something more meaningful pulsing beneath the surface. That you see, it's not about how much you do or how wild you get. It's about the emotion underneath it all. The way you look at him when he touches you. The way your voice softens when you tell him what you like. The way you express yourself, not for effect, but from a place of truth. Are you there for the experience set, or are you there to connect? Realize that because when a man feels like he's not just sleeping with you, but actually seeing into you, something shifts in him. You go from being a fantasy to being a reality. He wants more of a woman he doesn't just want to have, but to understand, to grow with, to wake up next to, and feel something that can't be replicated with anyone else. Let me say something that might surprise you. Most men have had a lot of physical moments. What they're starving for is emotional honesty, that deep breath when you let your guard down. Then that moment you whisper something real, that smile that says, trust this. And when a man's that trusts that emotional depth, that soulful presence, it makes him remember you. That it's not just your body he'll crave again. It's that moment when he felt seen by you, when he felt like something inside of him came alive. That's what separates a casual encounter from a meaningful memory. And here's the part that will really set you apart. Emotional connection doesn't mean pouring out your life story. It means being real with what you feel in that moment. If something makes you laugh, laugh. If something feels amazing, say it. If you feel overwhelmed in a beautiful way, let yourself tear up there. When you drop the performance and just allow yourself to feel, you invite him to do the same. And suddenly the entire experience becomes more than just sex. It becomes a moment where two people actually met. And trust me, that's what men hold on to. That's what haunts them in the best way. That's what brings them back again and again. They're not because they're addicted to your body, but because they tasted something real. Now, let's move to the fifth and final way a man judges you during that first intimate moment. Realize that he's judging whether you're going to lose yourself in him or hold on to who you are. And this, my friend, might be the most important one of all. Because nothing turns a man off more than sensing that the moment he sleeps with you, you disappear. You stop being the fun, confident, the self-respecting woman he was drawn toward and become someone anxious, overly attached, trying to mold yourself to fit into his world. And it doesn't happen because you're weak. It happens because you care, because you want it to work. But that's exactly what causes the shift. The moment he senses that your happiness now depends on his decisions, he starts to feel the pressure. He starts to feel you leaning in harder than he is, and the power dynamic changes. You want to know what keeps a man intrigued after intimacy? It's not distance, it's dignity. It's that you remain you. You stay connected to your own life, your purpose, passions, your friendships. You don't shrink to fit into his world. You don't start revolving around his mood, his attention, his texts. You keep showing up as the woman he chose in the first place. Not a woman trying to be perfect or pleasing or easy to keep, but the woman who knows that her life doesn't stop because of a man. It expands when the right man shows up. And he knows that, he feels it, and it makes him work for you. Let me be real with you here. There is something so powerful about a woman who, even after sharing things so personal, so vulnerable, still maintains her identity. She still shows up for herself. She still holds her standard. She still expects kindness, consistency, clarity, not because she's demanding it, because she embodies it. And that makes a man rise to meet her. He may not even understand why. He feels that he can't just drift in and out of her life like a tourist. He either shows up like a king or he gets left behind. Not with drama, they're not with games, but with quiet, unshakable grace, because she knows her worth and she won't compromise it, keep anyone. So the question is, after that first intimate moment, do you still lead your own life? Do you still show up with purpose? Do you still prioritize your peace? Because if you do, you become unforgettable. You become the one who stood in her light. Even when her heart was exposed, you become the woman he talks about years later, saying, there was something about her there. She just knew who she was. And that's what makes you not just the girl he's slept with, but the woman he regrets letting go of. Or if he's smart, the woman he chooses to grow with for life. So here's the final truth I want to leave you with. A man doesn't fall for you because of how fast you undress. He falls for you because of how deeply you own yourself. Even when you're undressed, because of the way you move through those intimate moments, not with fear, but with presence, not with desperation, with dignity, not with pressure, but with peace. And when you hold that energy, when you carry that kind of emotional intelligence into the bedroom, you stop being a moment and start becoming a memory. A muse, a mystery he wants to spend his life unfolding. You're not just a body, you are a story, a soul, a standard. And the right man won't just crave you. He'll honor you because you knew how to show up in a moment where most people disappear. You didn't lose yourself to be chosen. You chose yourself, and that made him choose you all the more. So remember this, intimacy isn't the test of your worth, it's the reveal of it. It shows the world how you treat yourself when you're at your most vulnerable. So treat yourself like someone who matters, like someone who's already enough, because that version of you, she doesn't chase love, she attracts it. She doesn't beg for respect, she commands it, and she doesn't get forgotten. She becomes the one he never gets over. And that, my friend, is how you become unforgettable in the most intimate moment of all.